Good evening, everyone, and welcome to BT's Fly Tying Friday. Tonight, the 10th of May, Rick Passek is going to wow us with some saltwater flies he is actually tying and using in Mexico. And the weekly tip, well, we're going to put some light on the Ninja. So what does that mean? You'll have to wait and find out. I'm Al Beatty from Boise, Idaho. My lovely bride is about 40 miles that way, attending a track meet that our granddaughter is competing in, and you can see where I'm putting my priorities, which is probably has me on the granddaughter's not good list, and we'll leave it there. Anyway, um, moving along, our presenter tonight is Rick Passek, and as said he is in Mexico at the time. And Rick, what I'm going to do is read an introduction of you, and then pass the reins to you. Are you there, Rick?
Yes, I am. Sounds good.
Yep, your audio is pretty good too.
Awesome.
Rick Passek has been fly fishing for close to 45 years and tying flies for more than 30 of those. He is the author of two fly fishing books. The first is called The Freshman Fly Fisher, A Beginner's Guide. And the second is the Canadian best-selling Freshman Fly Fisher's Insect Guide. I think I need to talk to you, Rick, but we'll do that later. Anyway, Rick is on the pro team for Semper Fly, Arex hooks, Airflow Ross reels, Sport Fishing on the Fly TV show, Renowned Scissors, and Moby Custom Nets. Jeez, that's a bunch of stuff. That's impressive, Rick. I'm going to pass all the reins to you and let you run with it.
Well, thanks for having me on. So today, I was going to do when Al and I first talked, I was going to do some old school British patterns, but since I've been down here in Mexico, I'm a digital nomad. So my wife and I are down here now for about 5 months. We're going to be heading back to Canada in June, and then we'll be back down here again in October. I've been doing a lot of saltwater fishing, and I prepped before I came, did a lot of studying and research and stuff. So I just wanted to show you guys 3 or 4 flies that have been doing quite well for me here and in other places. So I thought I'd start off with my Semper shrimp. And the reason I call it the Semper shrimp is because it's using Semper fly, the new Semperskin from Semperfly. So, and it comes in a bunch of different colors and sizes. So that's the only reason I called it that. So, going to start off with some nano silk, Semperfly nano silk in white. I like using white with most of my flies, just because I can always take a felt pen to them. So I probably use white more than anything. For the hook here, I've got an Arex NS150 curved shrimp hook. I tie these in a size anywhere from a size 2 to a size 8. This happens to be a size 4 that I'm doing. Wanted to keep it semi big for you guys so you guys can see it better. For the antennae and for the tail, if you want to call it that, it's not really a tail, but I'll be using some of the Semperfly Select Craft Fur. I'll be using a few of the silly legs, glow in the dark, the white with black speck, and the orange barred, black and orange barred, as well as a little bit of yellow tint, the baitfish. I'll be using some shrimp eyes. I get them online. You can get them in different sizes, different colors. I get them in green, orange, black. I really love using the easy shrimp eyes, but I can't get them down here. They're in the States only, and I just having a hard time getting them here. So I'm going to tie this one unweighted. I do sometimes tie it with a set of dumbbell eyes at the front just to help with weight, or a hourglass eyes, right? It just depends on whether you want them weighted or not. And the last material in this fly is the Frenzy fly brush in a kind of a rusty brown. So that'll be the main part of the body. So let's get tying. If you guys have any questions during, just let me know, or we can just wait to the end. That's up to you guys, up to Al. He can monitor that. So I'm actually going to turn on my other lights here. just to get a bit more. So I just start my thread, get it on. Then I'm going to take my craft fur and I'm going to just brush it out. Just brush it straight. So I've just brushed it straight on my desk. And now I'm just going to cut out a reasonable chunk. You don't want it too big. You don't want this too full in the back end. So I'll show you what I've taken. So it's not a very big chunk, but I'm going to now brush out all the underfur and then I'm going to line up the tips, but I have to do that down on my desk in a second. So I'm just using my brush, just brush out a little bit of the underfur. They kind of line themselves up. And I do that a couple of times till I'm happy with it. So now I want about the length of the body sticking past. So about there. So I'm going to make it a little bit longer. It's going to come forward to about here. Just going to tie that in. I like using wax when I'm tying in the craft fur, especially when you're using any kind of, nano silk or GSPs, because they are a little on the slippery side. So I'm just going to take that right back to the bend of the hook. Don't go around the bend because then that ends up facing down and you don't want that. I'll even go in behind and pull forward and go back over top, and that'll help it stay up. Just going to zoom out just a little bit there for you guys, or actually I can just move the phone there just so you can see the back end. So now what I like doing is I like taking a little bit of, where did I put it? A little bit of orange dubbing. In this case, it's vicuna dubbing. And I like just making a nice dubbing ball right at the back end here because it'll help hold the antennae and the little legs out. So just going to do a kind of a loose dub. Don't want too tight of a dub because I do want to pull this out a little bit. And I'm just going to create a ball right at the back end here. A fairly decent size one. I'm just tightening it up as I go. And I'm just going to go back in front, take my brush, and even though I've got stone faux brushes and all kinds of others, I still like my popsicle stick with the Velcro. It's my favorite. So just going to give that a bit of a brush out. I don't want to take too much of the bulk away. I just want to have some of the stuff trailing. So now I'm going to take some of my glow-in-the-dark white. I'll take two legs. And I want this to be as long, if not just slightly longer than the tail. So I'm going to tie it in on my side, about the length of the tail. It's not really a tail, but for explanation, that's the best way. So I got it tied in on one side, on my side. Now I'm just going to come back over it and bring it to your guys' side and make sure it stays on that side. Let me just double check. Yep. So now they're both on that side, on each side, about the same length, which is great. Going to do the same with the orange barred, orange and black barred. Now, just to keep that stuff out of my way, I like using a little hair clip. Just keep that stuff out of my way. And I'll get a few strands of my baitfish tint here. I only want about 2, maximum 3 strands. And these are going to be quite a bit longer than the legs. So I want these probably about an inch and a half longer than the legs. They're going to go in again on both sides. Now, it depends how big you want these. You can make these quite a bit smaller. I make these anywhere from an inch and a half long to 4 inches. So it just depends on where you're fishing and what you're fishing for. For bones and things like that, I'd go a lot smaller. So now that that's all tied in, and I've still got that that little bulge there, I am going to tie in my eyes. Now, if you had the easy eyes, they're joined together and it's a lot easier to use. That's why they're called easy eyes. But because these are single, I have to tie them in one at a time. And I want this about 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch past the back of my blob there, the orange blob. And I want them sticking out, right? So, and it's exaggerated, but you'll see when I
That recovery was most impressive. I can't thread mine that fast.
You know what? It's this these Stonefo bobbins. I just absolutely love them. They thread so easy. I'm actually blind in one eye, and I got big clodhopper hands because I'm a 30-year millwright. So, but I will never use another bobbin. I can tell you that these Stonefo bobbins are so nice for that. So now I'm going to put the other one in on the other side. Excuse me, because I got to just turn it just to make sure my distance is about right. Let's get that cranked in there. Make sure my distance is about right. This one's a little bit longer, so I'm just going to pull that back. Just come forward, and then I'm going to take my skizzers. Just cut these off. Okay, now you can take these just if you want and just give them a bit of a bend out, just so they stand out a little bit further. Right? So now I'm going to take a little bit of silver wire. This happens to be Semperfly 0.2 silver, 0.2 mil silver, but a small to medium silver wire. Don't go with a large, don't go with an extra small. And I just pick silver, brown, black. It really doesn't matter. It blends into what we're going to do with it later. So I just got that off to the side. Now I'm going to take my piece of Semperskin. And now I can judge the size of my shrimp, which one of the grooves I want to use at the back end. This one I'm going to use the back groove. So I'm just going to tie that in right there. And then I'm going to just flip that right back, get it out of my way. It's a little bit sticky on the bottom, but not a lot. So now I tie these in several different colors and in different patterns. Today I'm going to go with that brown that I showed you, but I do tie it in with a kind of a cream. I tie it with a reddish orange. I tie it with an orange. It all depends on what I'm going for. A lot of times also I will tie it with this Vicuna dubbing and just do a really nice tapered body with dubbing. But I love the effect that these frenzy brushes give. So I'm just gonna stroke the material out to 90 and strip off anything there so I can expose my wire core. So now I'm going to stroke the materials back as I go, and I'm kind of doing a palmer. I don't want to be tight against the last wrap because it makes it too thick then if you do. And just get it so it's all swept back. So now I'm just going to take my brush and I'm going to brush all that material downwards. And if there's anything right by the skin there, I just cut that off. Then I'll take my skin and I'll wrap this forward. I just flip that over again, making sure you just get rid of some of those fibers that are in the way. Just push that down. And then I'll come to the front here and I'll put a couple of wraps in loose, and I'll just adjust to make sure it's nice and tight. And I could leave it there, done. But I like backing it up with the wire. That's why I tied in that wire. So I like backing it up with the wire. Now it's gonna again make a bit of a mess of the brush there when I go through it. Dark brown segment is where I'm coming through with my wire. I'm just gonna build a little bit up there, flip my plastic here back, the skin back. So now I'm gonna go back on top and I'm gonna whip finish on top. I'll come back obviously and put some head cement on that. I'll flip that back. Then I'm gonna get my brush again and just make sure none of that stuff was caught. And there is the Semper shrimp.
That is absolutely gorgeous. Wow.
It's actually not hard to tie. It's just got to be patient, especially when you're going through the frenzy brush, that you're not catching everything and you're making sure you're brushing out, right? But other than that, it's just got to put some head cement on it now. And you want, the one key to this, guys, is making sure that your hollow, your tinsel, whatever flash you're going to use, is about 1 inch to 2 inches longer than your legs, than your silly legs, because those are the antennae. And if you ever see shrimp in the ocean, the ones that they're going after, they got super long antennae. So
how do you fish it, Rick?
It depends where I'm fishing it. On the flats, this is one that if I was fishing this on the flats, I would have probably put a dumbbell eyes onto it, underneath at the front here, right? Sorry, on top, right? But it gets covered, so it rides this way. And then dry line, let it sink right to the bottom, and because you're only fishing in like 2 feet of water, 3 feet of water, and you're just gonna let it sink, and you just pop. You want it to be right in that sand and make a little puff, a little cloud of sand, right? Because that's what the bones and stuff are looking for, is that puff, right? So yeah, that's the way I do it. Other than that, I don't mind if I'm in slightly deeper water, like off of rocks and stuff. If you're finding yourself fishing offshore off of rocks, I like putting it no weight on it whatsoever, and I'll use like a type 4 or type 6 sink tip, and just to get it down. I've always been a proponent, pretty well all my life, of controlling my fly's descent with the fly line, not with beads and dumbbell eyes and things like that. I like controlling the descent with the fly line, or other than if I want undulation. And there's going to be a couple of flies that we're tying later that do have dumbbell eyes, but I want the undulation in those. I want them to jump up and down, right, as I'm tugging. But not very fast either. Just it's a pop, let it sit. Pop, let it sit. Right? You want it to create those puffs and then just let it sit for the fish to find it. The next pattern is going to be a little crazy Charlie. So I'm going to be using an Arex 220 SA 220 streamer here. Saltwater hook, heavy wire, heavy gauge. Because this will not only catch bones, this will go GTs and permits and a bunch of different strong fish. So you want a really strong hook. So that's what I'm using. For the let's call it the wing, I'm going to be using some craft fur in tan. I'll be using a little bit of this hen's angel hair in a kind of a copper for a little bit of flash in the wing. For the underbody, I'll be using some copper hollow tinsel. And then for the overbody, I'm going to be using some amber vinyl rib, but in amber I'll be using. And I'll be using some, this is classic waxed in wood duck, Jesus. Just starting it, coming back to about where the barb is, give or take. Just come back forward, just to keep the body consistent. Now, this is a D. I don't know if you guys will be able to see that, but it is a vinyl. It's a D rib. So I'm going to put the flat side out. So when I go back and start turning it, the flat side goes down. So I'm just pulling it really tight. And then I'll just put this out of my way. It's a little magnet there. Oh, another tip for you guys. I don't know if you guys use these or not to keep your material out of the way, but Loon Outdoors and a few others have these, and you can pick them up for, I think they're like $12 or $14. I get these at the dollar store for $8 for $1. So now I'm tying in that copper hollow tinsel for underbody. Now, depending on the color of the underbody and the color of the D rib is the effect that you're going to end up with, right? Put that away. Now I'm going to take my large dumbbell eyes. These are a size large. I'm going to come back just a little bit. I'm going to tie this in right there. Figure eighting and then going under, and then just figure eighting again, making sure that's nice and stiff. Then I'm going to take my rib. Like I said, now the flat side is down. And you see how you just get a little bit of that shimmer coming through from the hollow tinsel? And then I'm just going to tie that off. Staying as tight as I can to those dumbbell eyes. Cut that off. Now, normally, I'm not going to do it here just because of time and stuff. Normally, I would coat this with UV resin, cure it, and then do a couple of coats of Sally Hansen's. Just because this stuff will get destroyed by the teeth of especially GTs and things. So I will coat it with, like I said, some UV resin, or you can just do Sally Hansen's, or you can do crazy glue, right? Whatever you want. It's up to you. But you want to make sure that you do coat these because they do get destroyed. So now flip her over, and then I'm going to take my craft fur. Again, this time a little bit of a bigger chunk than we did on that shrimp. Just get them lined up fairly close. And this one, I want this one to stick past the hook about a ½ inch, 3/4 max. So when I tie that in, about like that. So pinch, and I'm going to lay that in there. Loose wrap. Make sure it sits in the middle, and then I'll go around it, and I'll cover it right up to the hook eye there. Now I'm just going to take a little bit of that angel hair. I just like the wispiness of the angel hair. I find that it moves really well. So I'm just going to So now I'm just going to build up a nice head. Whip finish. Hit this with some UV resin or something, but I always on these just smoke it with a lighter quickly just to make sure there's nothing there. Take my Sally Hansen's or my UV or whatever. Just give it a bit of a coating. And we're done.
Hey,
Super
excellent fly.
And super easy to tie. You can tie a lot of these and quickly. And these are probably Crazy Charlie's, variants of Crazy Charlie's are probably the most successful pattern for bones and GTs and things like that. So super simple fly. Big game fly. Tarpon, mahi-mahi, big GTs, anything big. Even barracuda, just tied in different colors and sizes. But I'll just go through the materials as we go. But this is going to be using a really heavy-duty hook. So this is a Hens 790. It's a big game streamer, and it's got some oomph to it. This one. So I'm going to go back to my nano silk. Now this one again, I tie this in so many different versions. I tie it in more natural colors. I'll tie it in some really bright colors. It all depends. I finished with the collar differently. It all depends. So, going to be using some India cock capes here. A little bit of badger. I'll be using some. Again, it depends on what you're wanting to tie. I tie these in purples and pinks and all kinds of stuff. But this time, the ones I find work the best are the naturals. So I am gonna show you guys the one that I feel works the best, at least. So I'm just gonna take a couple of feathers, just get rid of this underfluff, just because it's in the way. And I'm just gonna tie these on the sides. Okay, so now I'll come back. Sometimes I'll put a little bit of dubbing ball here. Sometimes I'll just build up a little bit of a thread ball just to help splay these out a bit. So now if I wanted to add a couple more feathers, I could. It's up to me. I like leaving it right there. I like just having the 4 feathers. That's it. So now I'm going to take a little bit of a tan and white rabbit. Just going to strip off just a little bit at the front here for a tie-in point. So I just stripped off a little bit of hair off the leather. Just tie that right in, right at the back there. And I'm only going to do a couple of turns here. And I want it facing back. And it's okay that the skin is like that. It'll cover itself, right? So now I could have gone the other way if I wanted to, right? And go this way. It's totally up to you, but it doesn't really matter if you see the skin. in this because it's all going to get covered. This is more of a base than anything. So 3 wraps, and then I'm going to cover.
Is that cross-cut rabbit?
Correct. It is cross-cut, yes. Yeah, it wouldn't work as well if it was zonker because it wouldn't lay back, right? So, and then I'm just going to go back over top a little bit here. Cut that off. So it doesn't, like I said, it really doesn't matter which way you wrap. Prettier this way, but it really doesn't matter. So now I'm just going to tighten that down, make sure I've got that all tightened down. I like this laid back look, but I like having a little bit of extra width in there. So I like throwing in I really like putting in a mallard flank, and I tie this in by the tip. I just want 1 to 2 turns, it's a highlight more than anything. So I'm just going to tie that in by the tip. So now what I'm going to do, like I said, I'm using nano silk here, and the reason I did that is so I can crank on stuff. And then I'm going to grab, where did I put it? Sorry guys, stuff everywhere. My brown from earlier. This is the classic waxed. Now I could have done this all the way, but I like having that nano silk to be able to crank on it, right? So, and I'm just going to brush through to get that mallard flank apart. And now I just want to make a little bit of a transitional body here. Cut that off. Now I'm going to take some UV resin and some living eyes. These happen to be from Semper. I'm just going to put a little bit of lay this on its side, and right where that let's call it a body starts, I'm just going to put a dab, just a small dab. Take an eye, lay that on there, and make sure it's roughly in the middle of the hook shank. It's got to come up just a bit. There we go. And then zap it with your UV light. Doesn't have to be cured all the way. Just roughly. Turn it over. So now that I've got those in, I'm just going to make sure that all my mallard flank and stuff is stroked back. And I'm going to put a little bit right in behind on the eyes there and build a bit of a head, as well as take some of this and bring it forward in a taper. Now, sometimes I'll put the UV resin right over the eyes to protect the eyes, but I found that these ones are pretty good. The brand, the Living Eyes brand, are excellent as well. Then I always, because it doesn't matter what UV resin, I've never found one that goes 100% non-tacky. I always go over it with some Sally Hansen's or crazy glue or whatever, just to make sure it's cured right and hard. And that's it. The fly is finished. Now we're going to get on to, like I said, what I feel is probably my best bait fish pattern from shore. I've caught quite a few fish here in Mexico on it. Got a really nice, you guys would probably call it a red snapper. It's actually called a lane snapper, but and many other fish on this one. And it's fun to tie. It's very successful, and it'll again work for other species as well. So I'm starting off with the Arex XO 720 Patagon Boss Taurus size 4. Real heavy, again, heavy wire. I'm going to use white nano silk, clear D-rib. Right back to about the points of the hook, give or take. Come back forward again. That out of my way. Silver hollow tinsel. And this silver, this really pops. When this hits the water, you would not believe how this sparkles and shines. And stuff. So I'm going to stop about there. Going to leave myself about 2 to 3 hook eyes in front.
I have to ask, Rick, I've been sitting here debating with myself. You wrap thread so well, I'm wondering if you've done some commercial tying.
Nope.
Well, then you've wrapped a lot of flies.
I'll be honest, I absolutely love fly fishing, but if I had to give up fly fishing or fly tying, fly fishing would be gone in a heartbeat. It really makes it shiny. Now, normally what I would do, this is a smaller version that I tie, right? I would now coat it with UV resin and then Sally Hansen's and stuff like that. I'm not going to do that now just because I don't want it all sticky. So, first thing, a little bit of bucktail. Take a little bit of bucktail. Again, each stage here is not much. You're not putting a lot on. There's like 5 stages. 5, yeah, I think it's 5. But a little bit every time. And the main reason I start off with bucktail is I want that stiffness, right? So I'm just going to put it in my stacker. So I want this about the body past the hook, so about like that, give or take. So I'm just transferring it to my hand, and I cut off my butt sections, wax my thread, just come back over top of it here. I'm not cranking on it because I don't want it to flare too much. And I'm coming right back to where I stopped with the body. And then it'll come forward again. So, here we go. Just pinch that down a bit. Done. 6/8 strands here. And I'm going to tie it a little bit, about the same length, maybe tiny bit longer than that tail, than that deer hair. And I'll wrap that on a couple of times, and then I'm just going to fold this back. And then on an angle, I'll cut it just a little longer than that deer hair. So that's the first part of the wing. Second part of the wing, I like putting a little bit of this gold in. This is Semper Rio Grande, but just a goldy yellow kind of. And again, not a lot, 3-4 maximum. Cut that on an angle, a little bit longer than the last stuff. Each stage, slightly longer. That'll help get that taper. I'm going to move that for you guys. Now I'm going with the Semper Loxa, it's called. It's kind of a dark green. And again, same thing, 3-4, maybe 5 this time. This is going to start creating that dark back of baitfish. This gold is supposed to kind of represent that lateral line. So now a little bit longer than it needs to be. Cut this slightly longer than the last. 4 or 5 peacock curls. And this is, again, slightly longer, because you don't want to have to cut these, so slightly longer than the last stuff you put in. Tie that in, cut that off. Get that out of my way. Now, where did I put it? There it is. So now, I'm just going to tidy up this head area a little bit. You can put a different head on, which I will right now. Which will be later. So now I'm just going to go with some bright orange for the head. Now, I don't know if you guys have ever seen these, but these are soft heads from Stonefo. These are my absolute game changer for making these kind of flies. So it's a plastic head, but it's soft. So when I go and push it on, it will go right over that big eye. Right? So now I'm going to pull that back off. Just wanted to show you guys that it does fit. And these come in small, medium, and large. This is a small. So now I'm going to take that UV resin. Make sure this stuff is all out of the way. And just put a little bit of UV resin right on that head. All the way around. And a little tiny bit inside. Just a little bit inside the head itself. And now I'm just going to slide that back on. And this is when you want to make sure that all your stuff is stacked, because sometimes it does push some of that resin back. So you want it to make sure it stays where it's supposed to. Hit this with your UV light. Sometimes I'll hit it with 2.
And that sets it right through the plastic head, doesn't it? Because it's a clear plastic head.
Yes. It sets it right through there. It's on. So
Wow.
now I'll take some UV resin again. Just put a tiny drop right on the one side. I found that either these gold and black or the black and silver work the best. So again, I'm curing it through the plastic. So that's cured. Last thing, again, just because it's, I don't know if it's just me, but I always coat my eyes with some Sally Hansen's just to make sure they stay on. And when this gets wet, that slicks right down to a bait fish.
That is a gorgeous bait fish. I got a couple places right here in Idaho that think it fished just great. But it was a wait well worth waiting for. I probably got that all twisted around, but anyway, it was a darn good. I sure enjoyed it a lot.
Well, anyway. If anybody has any questions, feel free to contact me through Facebook. Just look up the Fly Fish Fanatic, Facebook, YouTube. That's my call sign everywhere. Feel free to contact me. I'll answer any questions. I'll, give you guys some tips and tricks or whatever for saltwater stuff. And I'd love to come back and do a session with you guys on old school British patterns.
We'll look forward to that and plan on it for next year, Rick.
Sounds good.
Okay, great.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, Rick, thanks a lot. Well, right now we're moving into the weekly tip. putting light on the Ninja. You're probably wondering what I'm talking about. Well, actually, the tip started last week with Rick. And I have to thank Rick for helping me spend more of my money. Because there it is. There is that folding light that Rick talked about. That thing is absolutely awesome. And we're going to use it tonight to light the Ninja. And we'll find out what that is here in just a minute. Right now, I'm going to set that aside.
I've actually been using both of mine the whole session. So.
And I wanted to point out something is it comes with a USB charge cable. And I've already tested this out just to be sure that it would work. But if you'll buy one of these things, it's a AC adapter on one end and USB on the other. The first night I had that here, if you're running off of the charge, it'll last about an hour, like Rick said. But if you plug it in, I ran it for 24 hours and it just kept going. So you can plug this plus this into an extension cord and have it anywhere. So anyway, set that aside. And now we're going to get into the Ninja. The Ninja is how you take this, my cell phone, and I already got it in a tripod so that we can run a test. But the Ninja is a connection device that connects your computer and turns this into a camera that can go anywhere. And in fact, we tested the theory earlier this week with John Wright. And what I'm going to do tonight, we did earlier in the week, except the cell phone wasn't in Boise, very close to my computer. It was in Lincoln, Nebraska. Worked just fine, works the same way, exactly what I'm going to show you right now. And what is Ninja? Well, that's what we're looking for right there. You go to the internet and type that into your search engine or into the bar at the top that takes you to your website. That's VDO.Ninja, but VDO Ninja. So what happens when you go to VDO Ninja? Notice that we have 4 different things that we can do when we get to Ninja. All of it on the internet, all of it acting as if we were connected via cable to your studio, whatever it might be. Quite frankly, I could have connected with Rick, with him in Mexico, and me in Boise, and made it seem just like it was another camera in his house, motel room, whatever it is. But anyway, I want you to notice here, you either add your camera or you can set up a deal like I did with John Wright, where I clicked on the remote screen share and over here created a reusable invite link. And it's a way of tying John and me together or any of us together. But I want you to see this when you click on hooking up a camera, which I'm going to do tonight. Just a minute, Gretchen just got here from the track meet. I'm going to mute for a minute and find out how things turned out. I'll be right back.
How high did she jump, Gretchen? How high did she jump?
10.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, she
Almost made 10 and a half, but not quite.
She's
she hasn't been doing it a year yet.
She's a freshman, and she's already lettered in this. So, I mean, there's people that got their letter this year, but they're seniors.
She's from state. We're real excited.
Yeah, we're really excited for her. But anyway, back to what I was doing. Okay, yeah, I'll see you later, sweetheart. Hey, anyway, what was I doing? Remind me, somebody, would you please?
You're hooking up your camera.
Hey, thank you.
The phone.
Okay. I just you can see I've gone into my camera's main menu, and like everybody's camera, you've got a place down here, a Google search bar somewhere on your screen where you can search, and I could tap the little microphone and say VDO Ninja, and it would take me to the site. Now I'm not going to do that. I'll let you do that. I already have a link straight to the site. Make sure it comes up. Okay. Now you know that cell phones do not let you see quite as much as you get to see when you're on a computer screen. And so there's one of the options that we don't have, but we don't care about that right now. We're just going to do one thing, and we're going to add our camera.
Just real quick, Al, I'll add that it also works with tablets.
With tablets, yeah. Well,
Tablets,
that's what I'm running over there. Right, that is a tablet. It's not connected in any way except via the internet, the same way that we're doing right now. Anyway, but for some reason, my doggone, I'm going to just reboot this. I punched a few too many things. I'll start over. There we go. I want you to notice that it's got a picture there of what the camera is seeing right up here. I can move it around and everything. I'm going to hit start. And I want you to notice that I'm going to hold it here so the camera focuses. But there's a green hyperlink across the screen there. That's what you put into your web browser to make this camera work remote for you. Well, I'm going to do that real quick. I'm going to have to pop into another screen. You'll think I'm still there, but I am going to go to this and type in the URL. And what I'm going to do now is I am going to go back to my camera.
There you go.
But this is still working. I'm going to go out and put it on our old historical rotary tying vise, set it all up there, and then I'll come back and I'll switch to it just like I do all my other cameras. So I'll be right back. I'm back online now, and when I want to switch to my vise camera, I can, or my materials camera, I can do that. Or when I want to switch to the vise out in the other room, and there's Light on the Ninja.
Ooh, I'm gonna have to download this for my tying videos. That's excellent.
Yeah, this is a totally excellent piece of equipment, and it's free. Now, here's one of the things that I want to go back and show you. And there we are to the introductory screen to that. Create a room, add your camera, which we just did, remote screen share into OBS, or create a usable invite. Okay, that's the 4, right? I want you to notice there is very well hidden, but able to see as a little arrow that I've missed for the last some time. I want you to see what happens when I click it. This is all the stuff that this program will do for you.
Speed test, nice. Voice command.
It does stuff. It does so much stuff. I don't have a clue what it will do. But what I'm going to commit to all of you is I'm going to do 2 things this summer. Gretchen and I are going to be working on 2 projects. One project is VDO Ninja, and what can we do to enhance our channel for Fly Tying Friday. My goal, I want Paul in Australia next summer, his summer, my winter, to go fishing remotely while we're here and he's there, and we're working back and forth just like I do when I go out there to that camera. I want to be able to do the same thing in Australia. That's what my goal is. My other goal is Gretchen and I are going to be working on the Busey Library over the next months, adding to that, adding what little we know about tying flies to the library. But those are the 2 things that we're committed to, one for the channel and one for Fly Fishers International. If there's no questions, though, I'm ready to go on to the sharing section. Okay, folks, thank you for now. We're done with the regular program, and we're into where you get to be the center of attention. We want you to share what you got. Aha, they move it over just a little. There you go. Got it. Yes. The shrimp. Love it.
And here are the others.
Oh, wow. You got them all on one page. That is great. I love it.
Thank you.
Now, Rick will put him in his next book, I'm sure. Yeah, you've got a thumbs up on that, Evelyn. Evelyn. Huh?
I'm working on a fly tying book right now. So.
Oh, Hey, you could be in luck, Evelyn. You never know.
There you go.
Thanks, Evelyn. There you go.
Okay, Al, you shared with us, actually Gretchen, the Sturgis dry fly hackle gauge. I tried to make some of them the other day, and they were just on paper, so they're really super flimsy. So what I did is I copied the design that was off your website and onto a piece of paper. So there was 4 copies on one piece of paper. And I took that one piece of paper that had 4 copies on it, and I took photo copy paper, which is really stiff. And I made a copy of that twice. And so I then cut them out and glued them together. And it's fairly stiff. So
Well, that's better than my old original that I my goodness, that's great.
Yeah,
Yep.
looks better than mine.
So anyway,
Thank you,
that's
Fred.
it.
Thank you. By the
One,
way, I like your Semper fly sign in the background. Yeah, you're a good
It's
rep.
gonna cost
Good
me
rep,
money.
man.
yeah. One, bead storage. I don't know how you guys store your beads, but again, because of the whole travel thing and stuff, I had to figure out, different ways of doing stuff. So I happened to find this. Not sure if this was on Amazon or AliExpress, but it's
Oh wow.
and it's
Boy,
all in foam,
handy.
so it doesn't. They don't come out, right? They're excellent. It's an excellent little thing, and this one's got 60 jars. You can get one with 30, and you can get one with 120. So
Oh, wow. Love it.
Yeah. So nice and compact, easy to take around. That's one. And the other one, and this one is more for fly fishing than it is for tying, but a buddy of mine, Gary Hankey out of Edmonton, he's the only Gaia certified fly tying instructor in all of Canada. So, I mean, he's very high end. He's won a couple of world fly tying championships and stuff in Germany and blah, blah, blah. But he came up with a fly line descent guide, and he's got it on a sticker, and he's got it on every one of his fly boxes. Every one of his fly boxes on the back end, he's got this chart, this countdown chart, and it's just a sticker, right? And it's got all your type 1, type 2, type 3, all the way, and then how at 30 seconds for a type 1, how deep it'll go, and so on and so forth. So if anybody's interested in getting one of those, let me know, and I'll point you guys in the right direction to get one. It's a phenomenal chart.
Interesting.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, Britt Davenport, when she was working with CDC a few weeks ago, mentioned that Smaheen, or however you pronounce this guy's name, or the tools, had come up with a thread splitter. Okay.
Yep.
That thing is awesome.
This is incredible. This is a little better view of it. It's got a little tiny hemisphere on the very tip, and it works better than anything I've found. There's $26.95 right now. Price might come down, but one of the things he says in his literature is that not to try it on bonded thread. I used it on uni-thread, and it worked just terrific.
There's a thing called I spent $1,600 because I couldn't make a $400 computer do what I wanted it to, right? So $1,600, and it's running to the max. Or I could have bought a $300 one of these. I got 2 of them, but I only need one. And what these are is ATEM Mini Pro switchers. You run 4 cameras into it, and one lead into your computer. Your computer thinks there's only one camera hooked up, when in actuality it's got four. You know, getting back over here, I can go. This is number one camera. Number two camera is on the vise. Number three camera is on the back side of the vise, and the materials area. And back to me. All is as quick as pushing a button.
This is another thread splitter. This is the one that Orvis puts out. You know, you can put it on your finger if you want.
Yeah.
But then you pull this down and there's a needle comes up. And there's a groove right here that you lay your thread or your floss on. And then when you pull this down, that needle goes up and splits it.
Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us this week. For now, it's a wrap until next time.